Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. We are going to start the patriotic heart lid, and this is what should be base coated so far. And we are going to start with one second. I promise I am prepared most of the time. Oh, we're going to start with the ice cream. So we're going to start with this area right here. So go ahead and get out some turquoise blue and some snow white. And you're also going to want to have your little star stencil handy and a little stencil brush. Okay. So I still don't have any more, so I think we're going to be good. So what you're going to do is with a dry brush and a little bit of your turquoise blue, you're just going to dry brush the center area of the dish. And then we're going to go back over it again with a little bit of the snow white. So just get all that paint off there. You're just going to start and go really with a light touch. And try to get all that blue. You don't want to go all the way to the edge in, either of the directions, up or down or left, right, or top, bottom, left, right. So just keep getting your color in there. And what I have found out, I've been doing a lot of experimenting with my dry brushing. You leave it for a second. I mean, it's dry, it's a dry brush, but the paint's still technically wet, even though it's barely. I'll hit it with a little bit of my dryer. And then you can go over it again with that same color. It's all about layers when it comes to dry brushing. And see, in here, you can see there's some spots that didn't get any paint on it. So I'm going to start again with the turquoise blue, and I'm just going to lightly go over it and start to fill in some of those areas that might have been missed. I want to make it to where it really feathers out on the ends. And it seems kind of like you're not really doing anything, but you are, especially when you step back after. And you just want to go a real light touch at the edges. I'll lift it up so you can see it a little bit closer. See how it looks really feathered through here. Okay. So and I like to layer my dry brushing. Like for me, that's just not enough. So I'm going to hit it again with my dryer. And I'm not going to get my brush clean. I'm going to leave it. But I am going to wipe it out really good. And then I'm going to dip it in the white. And then I'm going to get all that paint out. And then you're going to do it again, but you're not going to go all the way to these edges. You're not going to make it as big of a dry brush. But if you just go really with a light touch and just go around, you're going to see that highlight start to pop up. So you can see the difference of how it was before and how it just got a little brighter. Oh, Tony entered. Okay. Hi, Tony. Hi, Tony.
Hi.
We just started, so I can get you caught up really easily.
I don't know if she can hear me. I don't know how to do this thing.
Are you having trouble getting the camera on?
How do I talk?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I'm fine. I can see
Okay.
you.
Okay, good. So what we just did was we did some dry brushing on the bowl. So you have to get out a little bit of turquoise and a little bit of snow white. And what I
Okay.
was explaining to Diana and Marion was what you start with the turquoise and you just lightly and get your dry brush in there and try to feather it out to the ends and don't go all the way to the edges. And then I hit it with my dryer and then I did it again with the turquoise, but filling in little gaps that may have been missed with your dry brush and whatnot. And then the part where we were on, I hit it again and then I went in with just straight white. Or I'm sorry, don't clean your brush. It was a dirty brush of the turquoise and I just dipped it in snow white and dry brushing again. And that's as far as we've gotten. So it's not the quickest process, but I think it's well worth it once you get. So then, okay, so now we have our turquoise. We have our turquoise and white, but then I want to get out another clean dry brush if you have it. If you don't, it's not gonna make a huge difference. I just like doing the last layer of the white with a clean brush. Okay, and so well,
Yeah.
and you know which brushes I love? I love this stencil brush.
They'll record it too. So watch it.
It's a royal stencil brush. And I've even cut mine down a little bit. I'm gonna use this. It might be a little big, but I like the way it dry brushes. Okay, so it's a clean brush. Okay.
So I just load them all into the bedroom. Cody, don't forget your to go.
Okay, so then with this, so I'm gonna start right in the center, and I'm just gonna make.
Well, we should luck.
Now you can really see where this white has popped
All right,
out.
guys, stay. I'll find you a plant. I'll bring it today. I don't want it.
So that's pretty much what I want my dry brush to look like. And you can see the layers in it. You can see that turquoise around here. You can see the dirty brush with the turquoise and the white. And then just the stark white is in the center. So then whatever you put on top is really going to pop out. Okay. So go ahead and just get all your dry brushing on there. I know it will take a minute. And then, oh, okay. So now, and I'm not rushing you, but when you're done with your dry brushing, you can get your stars, your little stars, and stencil those on there, and you're gonna stencil them. So what I don't want you to have to do what I did, because I stenciled the stars, but then I painted over them a little bit because I wanted them a little darker. So I should have done a heavier stencil, but I don't want it wet. I still want that dry brush look. So I have my little star. I unfortunately don't have a stencil with just the really small stars on it. So I had to use this big stencil. And I just started going around and putting them on. Now remember too, if you look at your picture, you're going to see that you can do half of the stencil towards the edge, like it kind of fell off. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to use just a small dry brush or stencil brush, whatever you have is fine. And I want to do the dry brush technique, but I want it a little heavier, okay? Because you really want these stars to pop. So I'm just gonna maybe not wipe off as much and kind of tap some of that paint in there. I just want those stars to really show. So you can see this one really well. So you're just gonna go around your piece. This is the perfect size brush for small stencils. This is Jo Sonia's Sure Touch Oval. It's a size 4. And of course it's for dry brushing, but if you're going to dry brush a stencil in, it works perfect because it's a really good size. So I'm just going to make sure I get this coated the way I want, so you guys don't have to go back like I did and try to paint these stars a little bit to make them brighter. Okay. Is anybody going to Oklahoma for their big show?
No, not this year.
I've never been. This is my first time. Okay, so I'm not gonna maybe put as, I gotta look at my piece, how many stars I put on. I did put quite a few. But go underneath the rim, make sure you get a couple up there. You know, and if you go over onto your other color, just, you know, wipe it off and everybody doing okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Oops, I messed up. I wish I had even a smaller star stencil, but I don't.
I'm using that little painter's pal from Chris Hoy. And
Oh, okay.
she has 8 sizes of stars. She has one with stars and hearts. That's what I'm using.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll have to get that. That's really, and I like it when I like the smaller stencil, like the 5x7 or something. Those big
Yeah.
ones sometimes are just,
And it has 2 different types of stars also. One's a little more elongated, then one's more traditional.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got,
Good.
I use those quite a bit. All those little stencils she has.
She's got great stuff.
She does.
All the little, I love shopping for like all the little tools.
Uh-huh.
I get more excited over the tools than I do the paint colors.
In fact, I'm using her Mono Zero eraser too. I use that quite a bit. In fact, I bought 2. One I carry to
Oh,
class with me and one I keep at home so I don't have to worry about, you know,
right.
where is it now?
Yeah, exactly. That's what my husband said I need to do for when I go teach somewhere or whatever, because you're always gathering stuff.
Mhm.
Well, I don't like where that one is. So I'm just.
I even bought 2 of those Ranger dryers that everyone has, one for class and one for home. Because
Oh, really?
it's too much to try to, you know,
Yeah,
pack and repack every week. I go to a class every Wednesday and I
right.
just grab my bag and go. So that
It's
works
so
out
much
well.
easier.
Works for me.
Yes. That's a really good idea too.
They're
I
not that
love it.
expensive
I love
either.
this little dryer.
Oh, they're the best.
This has been my saving grace. I mean, because I hated the blow dryer thing because it was so loud. And
Mhm.
then it's a blow dryer, so it wasn't specific to my painting. So it's like, where's my dryer? I think, you know what? I didn't really place mine where I wish I would have brought this one more down more in the center, but I'm gonna leave it because if I put another one in here, it's too much. So you guys all have your stars on? Did Tony
Yeah.
leave? Oh, I think she left. Does she need to get back in? I guess not. Okay. Maybe she'll come back on later. All right, so rinse out your brushes, your dry brushes. Especially that little, if you have a little one. Now go ahead and get out. I put on, I did it wrong. I know I did. I'm sorry. I meant to say navy blue, but I typed in vivid blue for the shading. So if you guys have navy blue, or you can use vivid blue if you added a little tad of black, but it's easier just to use the navy. Navy blue is a good shading color. I've been using blues that I haven't really used before. I never painted with a lot of blues, but I'm starting to. Okay, so just get out a whatever brush you want to float with. Maybe I think maybe a half might be too big. What I like to use is like a 3/8 angle. Okay. And so we're just going to float on the bowl. Okay. we're just gonna go down each side. Now, if you have a mop brush, you can use that to mop out your floats, which I do it on everything I float. But it's up to you, but that's just the way I like to do it. And that's why I always put, or I try to, if I remember to put down a mop brush for one of the brushes. So you're gonna go right over the stars. But what I would do is once you go over it and if you mop it out or try to pick up some of that blue paint off the stars that you go over, because you don't want them to be totally covered. And when we start the float, we're not going to start way up here at the ice cream. We're going to come down a little bit where that rim, and we're just going to go over. And mop it out a little bit. And then I'm just going to take it off that star as much. Even if you had to use the opposite side of your brush, just to take that blue off. This is why too, when I did this piece, I painted over them a little bit with the white. It's not really an option to do the stars after, because then they don't look like they're sitting on the bowl. Then I would just flip my piece over and do the other side. I mean, if you want to go around the star, you can do that too. That might be easier. And just mop it out a little bit. So we have the left and right sides, and I'm going to hit it with my heat gun a little bit. Then we're going to go right across the bottom. Okay. And then we're going to go under the rim. But as you can tell right now, this center area really stays nice and bright. Let's just maybe. And just go right under the rim. See, my stars got completely covered. I'm going to go back at some point and make these a little whiter. And if you guys want to do the same. I didn't mean to put my star stencil on the rim itself. I meant to go under, and I was probably talking when I was trying to put them on. Okay. So we have our stars on. We've floated on both sides, under the rim and across the bottom. And if you want to go back with some snow white, over your stars, that's really gonna make them pop out. You don't have to, but that's what I did, and I know now that's why I had to do it. I thought they'd be bright enough. But I think they look a little bit better. I think maybe I will change my instructions to do the stars after. I'm not sure. Because we do some floating under the stars that push them out even more. I think it's me that's casting that shadow. Every time I get close, it has a big old shadow. That's okay. We'll sit back here. All right, so now we're just going to take some Snow White and your flat or your angle, and we are going to float across the top of the vanilla ice cream. Okay, right here across the bottom, you're going to go right next to the rim. And now this we're going to do twice because it's a pretty strong float. I had trouble deciding what color ice cream to do, and the bleach sand just seemed perfect for vanilla. Or at least French vanilla. Oops, shoot, got a big old hair. Okay, so that hair on my brush? I'm just gonna go straight across the ice cream. And it does two things. It cleans up the edge and it gives it a nice float or a nice shade. But I'm gonna dry it and then do it again. And I see some blue in there. I didn't rinse my brush out good enough. I should have grabbed a different one. But then once I had that on there, on the rim itself, it's the top, it's like a back-to-back float is what I did. So on this rim itself, and it's just a small float, I kind of just come up on the chisel part of my brush, but then I kind of brushed it back. If it's easier for you just to do a line work on it, a line of the white, you can do that. Boy, I really got some of that blue in my float. That's not good.
Lynn, what color was that? A thin float?
It was Snow White also.
Oh, Snow White. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but you can also use your liner and just add some white to that if it's a little easier.
Okay.
And then it actually does make it stand out a little more. Just kind of like that. You just want that rim to stand out. Or you want to be able to see where we floated underneath. When you get to working in these small areas, I always end up having to go back and, fix the base coating a little bit, add some more of the blue if you lose it. Then you're going to get out a little bit of honey brown. And this next float is going to be like the shading on the ice cream. So it has to be really light. And we're going to float shade right next to this caramel coming down, but it's going to be on the ice cream. And it's just laying some of that color, just a hint that there's a float under there. So you can see it right here. It's on the ice cream next to the caramel sauce. My son just got his permit yesterday. After like 5 tries.
Oh, no.
He never wanted to study the right way. He always said, oh, I'll just read the book and go get it. Like he kept thinking he didn't have to do a lot of studying. Well, I think he finally realized he studied all day and he took these practice tests, him and his friend and all that. So they both go down there and they both got their permits. So my husband just peeked in the room. He goes, how does he learn how to drive? I said, well, not, I don't want to, but he can. So they're going out right now to drive.
Wow.
Wow, I'm nervous.
There's no driver's training, like actual driving in school anymore, is there?
Not in school. You have to hire a private, and you have to do this unless they wait till they're 18.
Oh,
But you have to hire, and they teach them the proper way so they can pass with the test and all that. But they have to practice, before that.
mhm.
I am not the person to teach them. I'm just not. We kind of had a talk about it today, and I unless they promise to listen to everything, or he promises to listen to everything I tell him, I get too nervous. Then I start laughing. And then we're in real trouble.
Yeah, my mom was not she didn't teach us to drive. We had driver's training in school, actual training, but this is,
Right.
back in the 70s. But when we would go with her, she would let us drive. And boy, she was hitting that invisible brake on the
Yes,
passenger side.
Yes. The whole time. I know. You know what? My mom, she was bad. She'd let us we had a big round driveway, so you can go out one and up the other. And we had a station wagon, and I was 12 years old. And she asked me to do you want to wash the car? Sure. She goes, you want to drive it from out the driveway and into the next one? I'm like, okay. Well, I missed the driveway and went across the lawn,
Oh my
knocked
gosh.
out. My dad had all these beautiful rose bushes with tall sprinkler heads. So yeah, he was not happy.
Oh,
But my mom grew up in farmland in Wisconsin, where you're 12 years old, you're driving. You could drive a car somewhere or whatever, play around in the dirt. I don't think she realized she probably shouldn't have let us, but she taught me how to drive too, eventually. Took me a while to want to get back behind the wheel after that.
yeah.
Okay, so now we are going to take asphaltum. And this, as you probably already know, is a very strong color. And we're going to float up next to the whipped cream on the caramel sauce. So, and all you have to do is just make sure you blend it out. Just make it a soft float. Okay. So I'm just going to go up here and go all the way around my whipped cream. If you get on the whipped cream, it's fine because you can just paint over it with white. And then I did tap it out because this isn't a real heavy. I could have gone a little bit heavier than that. I think I might. Better to do it twice than to have to try to take it off.
Mhm.
So we just get that on there. And then with some of your bleach sand, we're gonna add a little highlight float at the bottom. And it's just gonna be where all these, oops, where the drips are. So you just want to add a little, just a little highlight with bleach sand. Even if you wanted to, you could add a little line of the Snow White to really add an accent on each one also. Which is cute. That looks cute like that. My new favorite red color is scarlet. It's such a great base coating color for red, and it's a good highlighting color also.
It covered pretty well too. Usually with reds, they're kind of iffy about how many coats you have to add.
Right.
Right.
I've always had trouble finding something other than black plum to shade reds with. And it's just me. I'm sure there's, everybody has something to use. But I just really like it as a base coat. But on the cherry, I did base coat it country red. And then the next step is we're going to dry brush a little bit of scarlet. So I just used that little dry brush I used for my stars to make sure it's clean. And actually the highlight is more towards the top. But it really makes a nice highlight. And so what I would do is do it once, dry it out, and then do it again. So I just highlighted up here. Oops, mine is pink for sure. Oh, what am I doing wrong here? It's hard to see it until you get your shading next to it. But there is a highlight on that cherry. I think it's hard to see on the camera too. That's why I said do it again, dry it out, and then put more scarlet on there. Yeah, that second coat, you can see it then. Okay. Of course, I get onto the bleach sand and I gotta fix that. And then I didn't use black plum. I used country red with just a tiny dot. Oh, somebody's trying to come in. Let's see. Tony's back. Hi, Tony. Okay, so then you're going to take country red and just a tad of the black. So you, hi, you're back. We're floating the cherry.
Okay.
And I don't know if you were here when I said this is being recorded. So I'm going to send you, everybody gets the link. So you could just, when you connect to the, or tap on the link, you'll connect right back into Zoom for the video.
Okay, that'll be good.
Okay, so now we're going to take it just a tad and get a little dot of lamp black. And you just want this to be darker than your country red. And so you're going to blend it. You want it to be more red than black, but you want to see that difference. So I'm going to float across the bottom, kind of up on the top a little bit on the cherry. And this I definitely mop because I want it to be a soft, gradual float. Okay. Now you can see where that scarlet highlight kind of pops out. And then we're going to make that little tiny line that divides the cherry, that little, it makes it look like a little tiny butt. And I like to float it in there. I don't want to do a heavy line. Well, I kind of got a little out of whack with that. I'm gonna hit mine with the dryer. I kind of messed up. I'm gonna come back and get my float in there. And hit it with the dryer again. So this is how you fix things. And then I'm just gonna come in and put in that little line. Okay. Not exactly what I wanted it to look like. It looks here, I'm gonna show you what this looks better. See how it's really faint? The little line that comes down. I think my problem is too, I'm not the way I painted my whipped cream. So I'm just gonna go back in. kind of fixed it where I didn't like it. Okay. So now it looks like it's sitting in the cream, right? Okay. So I'll let you guys work on your cherry for a minute. It's gonna have a tiny little highlight. I did a tiny little, it's more than a dot. I did a little couple little lines and then a dot at the top. One good thing about recording to the cloud and then just sending the link, sometimes it takes hours just to upload it, I think is what you have to do. It's like, because it's doing the whole class again or whatever you're videotaping. Very strange how that works. And when you're done, no rush, the stem is asphaltum. So I just did a line. Get a different brush. I just did a line of asphaltum. And it's not real thin because it's stem. And then I think I put on there too, you know, that little tip of the cherry isn't, it's like a little triangle. And then I just added a little highlight of white on it. So this brush is the Micron from Dynasty, and it's so fine. It's a 15-aught extra long. But I'll tell you, it gets into some small areas nicely. And for me, it's all about the detail. Might not seem like much when you're doing it, but when you look at the whole thing together, you're happy you did it. Oh, my husband made it back. Hopefully in one piece. Red is so dangerous next to cream or white. Always touching up after. If you guys don't have any metallic gold for the star, you can use honey brown or raw sienna. You can even use that and then put the gold on top if you had both. I do have my tool, but I brought it out. I thought I did. Might be better though on camera if I float with honey brown, because I don't think you're gonna see that gold very well. But on the star, we're just gonna take for a float. We're just gonna float across the bottom. And walk it up. So it looks just like that. Oh, see, I knew you can't even hardly see that color. You can see I floated right here. And just walked it up. I'll let it dry and then I'll do it again. I did get my gold because I remember grabbing it from a. Huh. Oh, here it is, staring at me right here in front of me. I find these colors are sticky. These the extreme sheen. Maybe I don't shake the bottle enough. I don't. They're just different. I'm sure it's me. But you can go back over your honey brown or just do your straight gold just to give it some shimmer. So that turned out okay. And then the top of the star, I just added a little bit of Snow White for a highlight. I think you can see it better. I think we'll do the dip dots and the sprinkles last. Or you guys can even do them on your own, but they're just not gonna dry in time. I think that's kind of the general way everybody does them. So once you're done with your star, we're gonna move on to the banner.
Liz, we didn't do anything with the whipped cream at all, did we? No?
No,
Okay,
because that's, you do that when you do the sprinkles.
okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. Okay, thank you.
Good. So we're gonna dry brush the banner with Snow White. Okay, so it's painted turquoise. So I'm just gonna get out what I used before, that larger. dry brush, and I'm just gonna start in the center and move it away, around the banner. You kind of want to keep the shape. I mean, you're not going to have a total rectangle, but you're going to fill in not quite to the edge. Now you can see here, it's a little blotchy, but I don't want to get any holes in it. So I'm going to let it dry, or dry it with your heat gun or your blow dryer. And then I'm going to do it again. And you just want to make sure you get all your little areas filled. And it brightens it up with the two dry brushes of Snow White. You just want it light and feathery on the ends. You can go a little harder in the center. I want to dry it again. But for the center, you can do it a little heavier, just so the center pops out. Just like that, okay? If you go back, like I just took a look at my bowl and I lost a little bit of my shine. You can always go back and make it pop out a little more. And then, oh, okay. We're going to take vivid blue with a flat or an angle. And we're just going to float across the top. A pretty good contrast to this turquoise, so I do want to mop it out. And I just kind of slap the color in there. And then with my mop brush, just tap and kind of move the color around. You know, if your mop brush gets too saturated, just wipe it real quick on your paper towel and go back. You see, it just softens it up. It's like a gradual, like a fade effect. What do they call it? When you get your hair done?
Ombre.
Ombre. Yeah, it's like an ombre. I haven't had one of those in years. And then you're going to do your country red, and you're going to do a float, but it's like a line. It's really thick. So I thought this was easier than having to base coat a line in there. So with country red, I mean, I blend it a little bit. But you just want to get a a line in there. And actually, if you dry it, you can go back in the opposite direction and just kind of clean it up like that. And then you have, you know, like the little banner at the bottom. We'll do all the details on this except for the dip dots. Wording. So we'll put everything else on. So I tried to make the line work easy on here by not having straight lines. I did little wavy. So I just took my liner brush. And I just kind of went with the shape of my I think I showed them a little bit thicker in the original, so you can just like that. Just add some of, you're gonna add the white lines going all the way across. I'm just gonna put 3 on this one. Oh, I only put 3 on the other one too. That's good. Just kind of wiggle your brush all the way across. Just like that. Actually, I'll tell you something. I had an American flag painted coming out of the cupcake. You know how you get those little stick banners and you can for decorations but they're printed on both sides. So you can flip it around either way. So the way I put this banner on, it looked like the flag was backwards. And it didn't look right. And my husband said, you can't put that on there, it's backwards. And I try to explain that, well, it's actually printed on the other side if you look at a real cupcake. I said, forget it. Then I felt weird, like somebody might say something. Is everybody doing okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. I'm gonna get up and use the restroom real quick, so I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay.
Whenever you guys want to take a break, whatever, fine by me. Okay, I'm back. You guys still working on your lines?
Yes.
Okay. I think the funnest part of this whole thing was painting the fireworks and the runner. They were just fun techniques. Did you guys see my post where on my Facebook page, there's the free pattern? Or not on my Facebook, on my website?
No,
Okay, so this is on my website. This the strawberry on a
okay.
tag for free. You can just download it and then paint it.
oh,
It's so
Cute.
cute, so easy. Because I did a demo and this was the last one I demoed and they seemed to like it. So I, fixed it up and stuff and did it as a free pattern. But I thought, I think I might make other fruits and do like a series. Like do different fruits, but do it all in one pattern. I like painting food. Especially fruit. It's just kind of fun. Okay, so once that is done, get out a little bit of navy blue and lamp black. We're going to put the pole in. The pole, I just lined lamp black. Okay. There was really no, I just came up above the flag a little bit and I just pulled down with my liner and into the cupcake a little bit. Okay. So add that on there. You can even add a little, at the top, little ball or a little something that looks like a little ball. And then I took navy blue. And I did like a little, I wanted to finish off everything. So I just kind of, like I did with the white lines, I just did the outline of the whole thing of the banner with navy. Down the front here. Just to finish it off a little bit. Now you can even add, if you want to add a little like a couple little, like it's tied at the ends. You can do that if you go on the outside of the pole. And then I just add a little dash lines of white for highlight. Do that on your pole too. Is definitely not a refined flag. And then, okay, so we're gonna leave the words in the dip dots till later. So I'll let you guys get finished with that. Maybe it's easier, maybe not. Do any of you belong to Gypsy Tollers too?
I do.
Yes, I
Are
do.
you gonna do the sleepover, or the artrageous thing next weekend?
Uh, is that up north somewhere or,
It's in Redlands.
oh, in Redland? Oh, no, our luncheon is that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had a conflict. We planned our luncheon and they planned their getaway on the same day.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
And we haven't met in person for, what is it, over 2 years?
right.
So we're doing our luncheon, which is just Saturday, though.
Yeah, I like that group. Okay, so let's see, what's our next one? The table runner. Oh, this is gonna be fun. You guys need more time with your flag, or do you want to move on to the runner?
I'm ready to move on.
Me
Okay.
too.
You doing okay there, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna need some scarlet red, snow white, and some asphaltum. Okay. And we're gonna need a dry brush. This is a really good dry brush too. I like this, the flat. But a regular one will work. We're just gonna streak in some highlights, and that's gonna be with your scarlet red dipped in snow white.
Scarlet red.
Dipped in snow white, and then you're gonna you don't have to get it too blendy, and you don't have to wipe a lot of it off. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of go across like this, like make some lines, like just like that. Okay. You can go back once it dries, do it again, or just go over it. And then go back and do some vertically. So it gives you kind of an idea that it has a little plaid pattern in there. So I'm just gonna hit mine with the dryer. And I'm gonna go do it again. And it can be messy because it's the runner is kind of, it's not straight across anyway. Now you can do this too with just straight, color or straight dry brushing here and there. You don't have to do it like this. But then take your liner and just some straight Snow White. Now looking at this now, I wish I had added maybe a little yellow in there. I don't want to change things too much. So then I just added some of those lines going across like that. Now in my original, it got a little lost. So I'm trying to do it a little heavier on here so you can see it. And then you can just kind of crisscross them like this. And like I said, it's just kind of an illusion of that there could be a plaid pattern in there. You can add, more highlights. Because we're going to shade this with asphaltum after. So I'll let you get those in there. Let it dry for a minute. So with the asphaltum, this was, I did it real light, not real light, but I did it kind of in layers to keep it soft. You may want to use like a 1/2 inch or a 1/2 inch angle or flat because you want it to have a nice flow. Okay. So a little bit of asphaltum. And just really make sure you blend it out well. And just across the top like this. tap it out a little bit, and I do want it darker. But you're gonna go all the way across the top. See, that's way too much. Okay. I got a little too dark on there, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go over here a little bit heavier. Okay. And then across the bottom. I like it that it kind of looks like it's not totally flat. I'm gonna do a little bit more across the bottom. And I did not float the side. I floated around the ice cream bowl. Okay. So we're just gonna leave that. And then I did float up against next to the bowl. If you guys get a chance to go to the Oregon show next year in Portland, I think they called it the Painters or Decorative Painters Expo. That was great for their first show. It was small, you know, it was only 2 days. It's gonna be 4 days next year. It's in April, and Pinecraft, the wood company, puts it up or puts it on. Did a tour of their shop where they, you know, cut all the wood, and oh my God, we had such a good time.
Did they have a good turnout, Lynn?
It was okay. It was okay. I mean, you know, I don't think the expectations were super high because it was only for 2 days. But now that it's more word of mouth, it's going to be for 4 days. They're going to have a lot more classes. Like, I only went there and I had a booth and I did a make it and take it. But for me, it was fine. I made a lot more contacts, you know, things like that. And I did okay in my booth for a couple days.
Yeah, maybe it would, if it's longer, then it's worth the trip for us, but like for 2 days,
I know. No,
You
it's
know.
gonna be for 4 days this next time. I think
Oh.
they were just trying to get their feet wet to see. And
yes,
the place was fine. And actually, for me, it was also good because it was my husband's first time of going with me, so he can help me set up the booth and everything.
oh,
Since my daughter decided to graduate from college and get a real job, she can't go with me. So, and it's good that I can't, I mean, I guess if I had to, I could. But it's so much work to put up a booth that I
Yeah.
really need him to go with me, and he'd load and unload, and he did most of the driving. But his son lives in Oregon too. And so he's married with a little baby. And so we went up early and stayed a few days with them. So it's worked out really well on my end. But the show itself, a lot of, you know, Lisbeth Stoll was there, Lori Speltz was there, and of course Tammy was there with all her glass. And it was so much fun to see everybody. And the turnout, like I said, it was okay, but I think next year will be way bigger. Oh, Maxine Thomas was there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Um,
I am going to hate to do this, but I have to leave.
oh, okay. Well, let's be, you know what? I'm going to send you the recording
Okay.
and you can contact me, call me, whatever you need, if you need help with any of it, Marion.
Okay, I will. I thank you. This was lovely. I'm sorry, but
you.
we have last minute company coming tomorrow and I
Uh-huh.
have to go to the store because,
I get it. I understand.
yeah. So I will watch the recording and I really
Okay.
enjoyed today with you, Liz. Thank you
Oh.
so much.
It was nice to see you again.
Okay, well.
All right.
soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Marion.
Bye, Diana.
She's such a sweet gal. I always liked her.
She's the president of the Whittier chapter right now.
Oh,
This-
is she?
This is her first year of being president, so she's doing a good job.
You know what? I think the first time I met her was at one of the gypsies sleepovers. But it was somewhere where we sat by each other or something, and I talked to her for a long time. We had a great time.
She just lives about a mile away from me. I just kind of laugh, here we're on Zoom and we live a mile away from each other.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, that's good that she's busy and having company. Reminds me of my mom. She used to do all that.
I always tell people, I said, I want to be like Marion when I retire. She takes Italian language classes and
Oh
she is
my
part of a book club and she paints and
She stays busy and it keeps her
she
going.
does. Like,
That's awesome.
I want to be like that when I retire. I mean, I did retire, but I'm not involved with as much stuff as she is.
That's great. Now, is she married?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And her husband's just as involved with stuff. He ties flies for fly fishing. And he
Oh,
belongs to a club that does that. And, he cuts her
Oh,
wood
that's
for her and things like that. So,
oh my
all that.
God. That's amazing.
They're-
That's so great.
yeah, they're a lot of fun. I really enjoy them a lot.
Oh, I bet. Okay, so that's it for the banner.
Okay.
Now, what I call the wood table. We're just gonna add some, just the only thing you might have to do is draw a little line in for the back behind the banner, so you know kind of where the line in the wall. I mean, I don't think, oh, I didn't draw that dark enough. Okay, now you can see it. Okay, so this is the wall, this is the table part right behind the banner, and this is the front. So just get out another little dry brush. Even if you didn't have a dry brush available, you can take a round or a filbert and just keep it dry. And we're just gonna streak in some white. Oops. Even down at the bottom. I mean, I know it's hard to see right now. Now, I already painted in my sill. I thought that was part of the prep and it wasn't, but I didn't want to take it out. So just dry brush some white in there. And then we're gonna float around it with asphalt and then add some grain line. If it's not quite dark enough, you can always add some lamp black, but I think I'm just going across right there. Just want to get my main line in next to the wall. And then under, well, you don't have your ceiling yet, but. So just right in those back lines and then also come underneath. Well, right next to the table runner. And then I would just start adding your grain lines and you can always go back and float a little more if you want. But with the grain lines, I just took a really thin liner and just start kind of dropping them in. And you make them thick and thin. Just so it looks more like a wood. I probably should have, well, I guess it is a table. I don't know. Make sure you got enough water. On some of mine, I didn't have enough water in it. They look a little too choppy. And then now I can go back and add a little more shading here and there. I do want to add a little float up here next to the table runner. I went right over my grain lines, obviously. And then right across the bottom here. And then on this side. we're gonna work when we do the window. We're gonna start with the fireworks. So what you can do is if you have a chalk pencil, or if you want to put, it just wasn't really necessary, I thought, to put in there the line drawing for the window panes. All I did, and I'm just going to kind of show you, and I just eyeballed it. You can use a ruler, but I just kind of went from the center, like right here is where I started. And I just lightly put in a line like that. And then there's two more. So I know this one was kind of by the star. So just kind of go across. Like I said, you can use a ruler if you want. So when you paint it, it's a little, it might be a little easier or a little straighter. And then right about here, I did another one. Okay. Because what I found was if you try to put it on with the line drawing and your two lines making the pane, it's never going to be straight. So this just was a lot easier. Get them in there, and then we're going to start with the fireworks because they're in the background. This way you kind of have placement of where you want them to be. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to get out a little dab of each of the colors. So it's snow white and turquoise blue. I'll set them out here as I'm doing them. So it's a little snow white, a little turquoise. You don't need a whole lot of these, but you do want it kind of a fresh, because we're doing it all with line work. So it's turquoise, snow white, little bit of the strawberry. And there's different reasons I used these colors. Some of your bright yellow, your cad yellow. I think I have something else out that it will work. But I used cad yellow. And actually, in thinking about it, even like primary yellow would work good. And some country red. So it's, let's see. So we have turquoise, white, strawberry, cad, and country red. I need to get a new bottle out. Okay. So let's start with turquoise. Now, if you look at the picture here, as I did these, they're shorter in the front, okay? They're not all connected, and they're all kind of curved, okay? So that's the main thing, is making these with a little curve. If you make them straight, they're not going to look like fireworks. So you get a very fine liner. And we're going to start with turquoise. So if it's easier to paint towards you, I would do that, because you really want to have the curve. Now these up here are going to be smaller, just because they're further away. But I'm going to do mine just like this. So you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm just gonna throw in some little lines like that, and then I'm gonna come down with some shorter lines. I'm just gonna do one complete one first so you can see it. So I did these longer ones up here. And I did some shorter ones in the front. And then I'm gonna take some of my cad yellow. Well, no, I'm not. I'm gonna take some of my country red. Now these aren't gonna be quite, mine are real big because I want you to see them. Otherwise you won't be able to, or they're thicker. But you just kind of go around. So the blue would be like my main color. Okay, and you see where I'm putting the red in between them. And they're not connected. They're all just kind of like that. Okay. You want to come down here a little bit with your shorter ones. And then when you go on the other side of the window pane like this, it looks cute because then it looks like it's in both windows. Then I'm going to take some of my yellow. While this is, the red is kind of drying. And I'm not going to do very many yellow, just a few, kind of like a highlight in between them all. Okay, so it starts to stand out. Then with the pink, I added a little white and I went over the red right at the tips. You just go over those because I wanted it to it didn't, the red obviously doesn't pop out as much on the black. If you go over the red with the strawberry color and the white highlight in there or the mix, now the red really stands out. And then I took white and I added white. I did it on some blue. And then you want to add some white kind of by themselves, but just very little. You don't need real, mine, like I said, mine are thicker. But you want to add white to these so they pop. So these were the red ones down here, was a little white and pink. So I'm going to put one on this window here. So I'm going to start with the blue. Just add some, kind of like they're falling, right? Like that. Okay. So there I have my blue in. I can go a little heavier because some of it didn't even show up. That's what makes it hard painting on the black. And then I'll add some of the red. And then add some of your pink with the white over the red. And then some yellow. And then white. And then if you even add some of the white more in the center to fill up that black area, that hole in the center. A lot easier when I'm not demoing this. I'm gonna bring out my original piece and show you. And then here. See how you fill in the center areas too? And you can overlap them. And all they are just little lines of color. But the idea is to keep the shape and the curve so they look like fireworks. I'm gonna just keep this up. You guys can kind of look at it as you're doing them. I think it'll be easier. This is gonna take a few minutes, so that's fine. Want you to get them the way you like them, the way you want them. You guys okay?
Yeah, mine were starting to look like pine needles, so I had to kind of regroup a little bit.
Yeah, no, I know. You have to show some of that black through there.
Mhm.
You guys about ready to put in your window panes? Or do you want to
Yes.
give you a few more minutes? Once you put these in, it's easier, I think, to go back and kind of, if you have too many colors up or too many lines, you can go back with some black. So with Snow White, I took like a number 1 or a number 2 round. And all I did and you can always, well, not since you have this, but with a round, so it's just a small round brush loaded with your white paint and start at the top and just flatten it out a little bit and come all the way down that line. And you just put in your paint. So it doesn't have to be, it's not a real window. Mine just aren't perfectly straight. I mean, they're straight, but they're not perfectly clean, you know, precise. But if you go slow and just keep the same amount of pressure going across that line, it will look fine. If you're not comfortable doing that, you would have to tape it off and then paint in between the tape lines. And don't get so much paint on there to where it's going to overflow. And I'm not pushing real hard, just to make, keep the shape of what I want. So I came right next to my star here. I got to go in. So it's just like that. And then this was about a little over a 1/4 inch. I just want to make sure I had enough room on here. You can draw that line in to put my little handle. And if you need to go back over your white lines to make them a little brighter. And go right over your,
What you been doing? Huh?
What?
What you been doing?
go right over your firework. And then if you cover up some of your fireworks where you want them to kind of peek through on the other side, just add a couple little dashes up in the other pane. And it looks like it's, you know, going out a little further. This one I don't like. So I would take, as an example, some of my black. And I would just get rid of some of them that I did, that I'm not thrilled with. Made it a little bit smaller. Okay. This one I like. And it looks better now that the paint is around it. Oh, and don't forget your sides either. And it's just a little bit. It's next to the star. You want to get some white in there. Next to the star, just like that. Because the star needs to have, actually, this is a little thicker too. So you could come inside. Like this, and just paint your little wood trim on there, okay? Because we're gonna go back in with some asphalt and do some shading. Okay, so I just up here. Okay. And I didn't float, I only floated where the two pieces meet. And I just took my smaller angle. And wherever they crossed, I would just add a little float. And then also at the tops. And the sides where they ended.
So where were they cross?
Right here in the center, like right here. And right, you know, above and below the one going across, and then next to on the left and right where they meet for the one going down the center. I think that's easier to see like that. around if your star touches that area, float around the star if it's next to the window pane. And then also on the edges of that wide, at the bottom, that wide, I guess that's the one where we're gonna lift up the window. Next to the cupcake. Now the handle on this, the handle on the window that's black. It was kind of by mistake that it turned out the way it did, because I was just gonna put a line there and make it like a pull knob, which kind of is, but all I did was with a liner. It came down a little bit from the center and I just drew a line across like that. And then I drew a curve. So now it looks, here, I'll pull it up for the camera. So now it looks like that. And then I filled it in. And the funny thing was, the way it ended up looking like one of those pull knobs is I did two little like spots up here at the tops of them. So it looks like they're connected to the wood. And then I just left it and let it dry. And added a couple little white highlights. But I made sure I added these two tiny dots where it looks like it's connected, and then just kind of straight across the top a little bit. Those two extra little black areas at the top, that was by accident. And I thought, oh my God, that makes it look like the kind you buy in the store where they have a little, where you would screw it in. It was kind of funny. So for the wreath, I put a circle on there. And it wasn't a perfect circle, but I made it to where it just kind of this way and right here. Because this was just a guide where I wanted to add those little leaves. So it was just like that, just on either side of the middle pane. Is that, I don't even know if that's called the pane. The pane is the glass of the frame, the middle of the frame. All right, and then I did a little bit of asphaltum. I think it was white. Let me make sure. Oh no. Totally wrong. It was with some Hauser light green. Oh, I'm glad I didn't continue. So I did a circle. With some Hauser light. With the chalk pencil. And if you're comfortable enough, Diana, just to put a circle in.
I drew on him with a chalk pencil.
Yeah. So I just filled it in with some Hauser light, and that just gives me my my guide. And then with Hauser light and then a little Hauser dark and some Snow White. Hauser light. So I took a liner and I dipped it in Hauser light, and then I tipped just the tip of it. I added some white. So then the little leaves that I did were kind of tiny comma strokes, but even those little drop leaves, but I did them just in different directions. And I kind of came off the wreath a little bit. But you have to make sure you have that white in there to be able to see. See it, because otherwise they just kind of get muddled together. And I just dropped those going in both directions on the inside and outside of the wreath. And then I went back and added some dark Hauser. Just at the, not at the tips, but at the bottoms of each of those little, and it's just here and there. You don't have to do all of them. But that just added a little more depth to it. How long have you been painting, Diana?
35 plus years.
Oh gosh, long time too. Yeah. See, like painters like you, it's easy to teach because when you don't have to put every single pattern on, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and some people even that have been painting a long time do like to use the pattern, but it's just hard sometimes for pieces like this little wreath or whatever. There's really no way to use a pattern.
Right. Well, I had a really good beginning teacher, and I think that makes a whole lot of difference because, you know, my gosh, stroke work and how many times load the brush. And
Right.
it was set up in a statuary store is where the classes were. One night a week, they would do decorative toll painting.
Right.
And so she had beginners and advanced people, you know, it was constantly changing, you know, like every 4 weeks, there would be new
Yeah.
people coming. So she'd say, okay, let me have all my beginners up here and we're going to work on such and such. And we would do that. And then she'd send us off to practice and she'd bring her more advanced intermediate people up and they would do things. And you just sit there and look like, how do they do that? I'm never going to get to that point, but
I
you
know, I
eventually
know.
do.
You do because, and this, what's hard to explain, I think too, is the more you do it, that's just the only way you're going to get better is actually painting pieces. You know, and then you just kind of, it just kind of happens and you don't even know it.
Yeah, you kind of get those aha moments like, oh my gosh, I actually did supposed
Yeah.
to do.
Right. Because when you think about it, it's all just a learned technique. You know, I'm not out here tracing, you know, drawing trees from my backyard or anything because I don't know how to draw like that. I mean, I can outline and stuff like that, but they're all techniques. I mean, and I guess the more detailed you get is where you can get more refined. And I just have a hard time because I like to paint realism, but I like it to be whimsical.
Mhm.
Like I'm constantly changing stuff because I'm like, well, no one's going to want to paint it. It's not fine art, right? You have to
Right.
make it something a little more whimsy, but yet know what it is. And I think it just depends on your style. I wish Judy Deep House and
Oh, Linda Ptula.
Linda, yeah, oh my God. Linda.
Took several
yeah.
classes with them in Vegas and they were great because they would kind of tag team it. You know,
Yeah, I did
and
too. And
I learned so much from them. I still paint a lot of their stuff.
well, and that's where I think I get my inspiration from because they're very traditional painters. Like they paint a lot of stuff that I like. That's the stuff
Mhm.
I like. Mixed media, I can get into it. I just don't know enough about it. I think once I am able to retire, I can start learning a whole lot more. But it all takes time to practice and all that stuff.
Yeah, I enjoy colored pencils a lot. I've done a lot with Erica Joanne and also her certified teachers, and I just really enjoy that.
Those are
it's
fun. I've taken
different.
the lady from Japan. I forget her name, but she was a lot of fun. Yeah, I like pencil too.
The first time I ever stepped foot in her booth in Vegas, I pulled a pattern packet and I looked and it said all these different colored pencils to use. Like, oh my gosh, how do you even do this?
I know.
And I was so intimidated, I just put it back on the shelf and kind of walked out. But then, the pandemic happened and, so many teachers went to using Zoom.
Right.
And, there's your chance to paint with people you would maybe not ordinarily have a chance to.
Right.
And I started watching her, I think it was Thursday afternoons, and how she was doing things like, oh, okay, I think now I understand it. Because just reading a pattern packet and trying to do it on my own, I thought, I don't know about this.
No,
But
and
once
it
I
can be
started,
difficult. Yeah.
once I started seeing her techniques, like, oh, okay, I get this. And I really enjoy it. So that's a lot of fun.
Well, and I took a class from Erica Joanne too once, and it was a gnome. I did like her technique. I just want more. I just feel like I don't have time just to paint for fun anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always for something.
Well, yeah, and I'm retired. So, I've been retired for a few years now. And I thought, oh my gosh, we got all this painting done and this and that. And, doesn't happen. And
No, I know. You got
so
other things
involved
to
with
do.
the chapter and, memory box chair. So I figure I've got to paint at least 1 or 2 memory boxes a month. So, and it's always something like, when do I
Yeah.
get to paint for me? But
Just-
I will say, I have all my Christmas painting done already this year. So
Oh,
I'm
good.
quite proud of that. Because
I
I do ornaments for the family that lives out of state. And then we've got some
Yeah.
little ones in the family and they all get ornaments. They're all under the age of 10. There's 3 of them.
Right.
So that's done. My ornaments are done and my Christmas gift painting is done. So I thought that was pretty good because it's June and I'm finished.
That's awesome because usually I'm doing that, a couple months.
December.
Yeah, my mom gives me the list. Okay, but I don't do a lot. My mom comes from, 8 kids, and I would do for her brothers and sisters, she would ask me to do ornaments, and I would do that for years. I did it. And then I used to do them for my nieces and nephews, but I ended up doing it for the family, my one brother, his family, and my other brother. I have 3 brothers. My third brother, his wife could care less about that stuff, and I don't think she even puts it on the tree. So she's the type like, oh, okay, thanks. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, okay, I put a lot of work into this. And I don't think they're just not into that type of stuff.
Yeah. And that's fine.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But my other brother, because I have the glow forge now, like I'll do him and his wife and kids as snow people and engrave their names and then paint over it. And they're like, oh, like I worked this magic. So
Well, it's nice to paint for people who do appreciate it too.
yeah, I've always painted for my mom and my daughter. In fact, my daughter last year, I gifted her some stuff that I had painted as parts of her gift.
Oh, nice.
I did that 2 years ago. Yeah, it was going to be a tight Christmas and both my kids knew it. And so she was thrilled to get that. My son,
I have one cousin, this is in Illinois, and they get an ornament every year. I haven't seen them in, I don't know, 6, 7 years, but we keep in touch and all that. And I found out that he hangs all the ornaments I painted him over the years. He keeps out year round.
oh yeah.
He has a kind of a thing with it's wire, but it's got pegs on it or something. I don't know what, or hangers or hooks or something. And he leaves them out year round. So
That's
that made me feel good.
Oh yeah. And I don't paint I don't sell my stuff except for one guy at work that has been my biggest fan since day one. And I paint ornaments for his wife every year. And then
Mhm.
he likes the heart dishes. And then his mother-in-law, who now has dementia, she can't remember anything except she remembers that she wants ornaments and a heart dish.
Oh,
He buys them from me every year. And
That's
he's
nice.
the only person I'll do that because it's too hard to sell.
yeah, I did a boutique once years ago with a friend of mine. I thought, this is just not my thing. So
Yeah.
I don't
You know,
either.
Some people can do it. I just, I don't like to paint the same thing over and over and over and over. These also have little white berries that you can do at the end,
Okay,
but they're just little dip dots in white with little specks of black on it, on the tops.
okay.
So that would be the finishing. You don't want to do that now. The little nail is just a little speck of black that I put right about here. I just did a little smudge to make it look like a nail. And then I added like asphaltum and the snow white, and I made the little strings that come down, like the rope holding it. Yeah, asphaltum and white. Okay. And that's all I did for the wreath. Okay. So besides the dip dots and the, okay, so the flag needs the dip dots and the word. The
Mhm.
star needs dip dots, and then the whipped cream needs, sprinkles.
Sprinkles.
So what's next is the larger star stencil you have. You can put as many stars as you want around it. So I just took my star stencil. God. Here it is. And this was kind of a heavy stencil, and I just placed them wherever you want to see the stencils. Now, I'm going to admit, I did my loading around the stencils a little too heavy. I wish I had gone a little lighter. So I would just start to stencil some of those white stars on there. So it's Snow White. Get them where you want, and then you can brighten them up too if you want to. They look better, brighter, I thought. But especially on your on the bleach sand, they need to be a little bit brighter. You can put different sizes too. They're not all real big. I hear, is that your kitty?
Yes,
I can hear them.
he gets, well, we have two. They get fed at 4:30 every day. My husband's around, he can feed them. But usually about 3 o'clock, 3:30, he'll start, he'll just sit in the middle of the room and meow.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget me, I'm
Funny
gonna
how they know
starve.
Yeah, they know it's time.
It's
Mine does
finally
too, right
Toby.
around the same time.
My husband says, well, just feed him early. I said, yeah, but if I start feeding him early, then they're gonna expect that every
Yeah.
day.
They're
I try to keep them on a schedule.
Yeah, they get hungry. They'll know their stomachs are probably growling at this.
It's like, you're not starving, really?
Yeah. Oh, look at mine. Mine is definitely not starving. I have to get him off the counters. I can't stand it when they do that. He's like a dog. We can't leave anything out.
Well, fortunately, they don't like people food, which is good. Neither one of them do.
Oh, mine does.
But Hobie, he'll eat anytime you feed him. And then Lucy, she's like, okay, I guess I'll eat. It's fine. She doesn't cry like he does. It's like, you're not starving, really? But they're fun. We like them.
Yep, mine too.
Just
Well, he's just, I only have the one cat, but I got 2 dogs, a lizard, 2 turtles. Thanks to my son, I got all.
Oh,
the
you have turtles?
Yeah.
We do too. We have
Go ahead.
two box turtles and 16 desert tortoises.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, we just have, ours are, half aquatic. They go in the water or the dry.
Okay.
And my son, he still loves to fish, but was at our little pond up the street all the time. And he brought home this little baby turtle because he was afraid the bass were going to eat it. And he was just like the size of a quarter. I mean, he was small. And then he got a little bit bigger because we got him all the stuff, the aquarium, the whole thing. And then he got another one he found at this other place. He said it was sick. I don't believe half the stuff he tells me. I think just because he wanted them. But now I've got the happiest turtles in the world. They're in his room. They're the best friends. Raphael and Harry. And they are so much fun. When you walk in there, they come up to the glass and start splashing around and poking their heads up because my husband goes in there and talks to them, and then they eat right out of his hand.
Wow.
But my son seems to think now they need a bigger area. I said, no, they don't. I said, they could grow if I gave them a giant, place to live, but this is like a 30-gallon tank, 50-gallon tank. I says they're a perfect size. But I swear these little things, they're so much fun. They're so cute, happy. They splash and play with each other. It's really, I never thought, turtles.
Well, they have personalities, at least, well, ours do.
Oh, these do too, yeah. And then he has a bearded dragon.
Oh,
My son loves any living creature. He just has such a heart for all of that. And so his bearded dragon it's a female. She's very low maintenance. And she has a personality, and she gets on the bed with him and she follows him around, and super cute. And he takes care of it all. That was the whole thing. It was like, we don't need any more animals to take care of Dominic. But he does it all, so I'm not worried about it. So I put, some of I think it looks a little better without as many stars as the original had on there. And then I just floated around each of them. But I think I'm going to show you what it will look like if you float just around the bottoms on one side. Because with asphalt, it gets too muddy looking. So I think you can hardly see it on the camera because they're white. So let's see, where'd it go? That one go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I just floated just on the one side of the star because you got to float around this edge anyway.
okay.
And then I think down here, the same thing. Just want to make them pop up a little bit. Yeah, I like this much better. Oh, and you know what too is on the stars on the bowl. Take a little navy and dip it in a tad of the lamp black. And then float just on these little sides of the stars and underneath. Kind of like that, so it makes them kind of pop
Okay.
out. And it's not even, I mean, it's a flow, but it's more just adding color right up against it. You can even go up underneath the rim and deepen that float a little bit. Now, depending where your star is up here, mine's on the black, so I can't, what, I think it was a asphaltum. I can still do an asphaltum stick, but I'm gonna have to add white to the very top because you won't be able to see it. Then the last thing I did was I just floated with asphaltum around the edges. Of the frame, like right here. Really light though. And around the flag and the cupcake or in the ice cream. And you can just do it kind of here and there if you want. So it doesn't look too dirty. If it gets so close to the cupcake, you might not want to do it right next to the ice cream up here. Maybe just on the side. I might have to change my directions around. But that is basically it, except for your dip dots and your sprinkles.
And those are, the sprinkles are like what you've done before on cupcakes and things where
Oh,
you
yeah,
you-
yeah.
side load underneath them to
Yeah,
kind of set them in. Okay.
right. Go around the flag really lightly. Oh, and then around the window up here. Boy, you're hungry.
My husband's out in his man cave, so
Oh, okay, mine.
poor Hobie. He'll survive. He's fine.
Mine literally will attack my legs if I ignore him too much when it's feeding time. I guess that's their way of getting my attention, but all it does is upset me because it scratches. Jeez.
I have kitty treats in my desk drawer here that I painted. And so usually if I'm in a class, they'll come in and they'll just sit next to me and look like,
Oh.
you know, you have treats in there. So just might as well give us some.
My cat's very territorial. He doesn't like people in my house. Oh, he might as well be a guard dog.
And for the red stripe on the cupcake paper, that's just, is that country red? I don't have my.
Oh,
I should-
yeah, it's
my
country
question.
red, and then we did the white stripes across.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot about that part. Yep, that's red. That's, I'm gonna put that in there now. That's country red, and it was just lined in. I did that just to finish off this trim a little bit, or the rim. Just like that. And then you can just add some little white highlights on there. You know, and the sprinkles can be done. I think I did them in country and navy. I only did 2 colors,
Okay.
and they're just the kind of long. And then just do a little float underneath them with a little white highlight. And that was honey brown. The stars have no floating underneath, they're just little dots.
Stars.
Yeah, then that's it. There's not even a lot of floating around because it's only on this side.
Okay.
Everything else is shaded already. Well, that was fun.
It was.
Quick and easy, small class, but that's okay. I'm gonna edit this video and send it out to everybody. I'll edit it if I can figure out how. So,
Well, we're going to be ahead of everybody else
oh yeah,
for 4th of July. So
very good. Well, it
Right.
was nice to see you.
yeah, nice to chat and everything. Thank you for the
Yeah.
class.
You're
Marion
welcome.
can finish hers up when she gets a chance. So,
Yeah, it'll be fine. And I'm sure I'll see you again.
oh yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Diana. All
Thanks
right.
a lot. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.